So, unless you've been living under a rock, you would know pretty much everything uses an algorithm to keep you locked in on their product. And video games are no exception to that, including Arc Raiders, which I want to talk about today. Just instead of it being called an algorithm, they call it skill based matchmaking or aggression based matchmaking, which is what Arc Raiders has. But it's an algorithm. It's an algorithm to keep you entertained by keeping you in lobbies with the correct people, whether it's skill or aggression or however you play. It's an algorithm picking up on what you're doing and trying to keep you entertained. Some games go a lot deeper than others, and Arc Raiders algorithm affects the game in ways that I think some people don't really recognize, and in others that have been talked about. The first way it affects the game that I wanted to talk about is there is reverse boosting. I know it's not skill based matchmaking, but there's aggression based matchmaking. And how they conclude your aggression is based off of damage. So it slowly does kind of turn into skill based matchmaking because the more damage you're doing, the more aggressive they perceive you, and usually if you're better, you're going to do more damage. Now, allegedly somebody talking right now has done the reverse boosting. It isn't hard. Allegedly, if you go into Stella Montes with a free loadout about 8 games in a row and just run at people and let them kill you, don't do any damage back, then you can allegedly throw on a fucking Chad ass kit and walk into a lobby with a bunch of unks running around with good loot on them, and you can farm the shit you need. Now, I cannot truly pinpoint or accuse any other creators of doing this, but I will say when you watch clips and you see guys hitting crazy shit, right? Like absolute crazy shit, and you're like, why is nobody shooting back? Well, they're probably reverse boosting, right? Like some of these creators, Aimkey, they're really good. They would shit all over me. He's fucking cracked, right? They're cracked. But to get crazy clips like that, they're probably reverse boosting, or at least unintentionally doing it. So piggybacking off of the reverse boosting and stuff, this creates a balancing issue because when you have one group of people experiencing the game a certain way, then another group experiencing the game a certain way, and another group experiencing it a certain way, balancing becomes hard because the items aren't used the same way as they are in each lobby. For example, when trigger nades were OP as shit, right? When I allegedly didn't reverse boost, my lobbies were Venator 4s, Toro 4s, and about 30 fucking trigger nades in everybody's pocket, and everybody just nuked each other, right? A flare would go off, everybody would sprint towards it with their Venator 4 and trigger nades, and that's all the game was. All of it was just trigger nade spamming. And they were OP as shit. You would open a door, and I would throw 55 trigger nades in there and nuke you to high heaven, right? Like that was the gameplay. But there was people complaining about people asking for a nerf because they were like, oh, they're not OP. What are you talking about? They're kind of expensive. I only carry one at a time. I do this. Oh, it's a skill issue because, well, it's to get people out of cover, blah, 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 right? It's because Group A, right, me and my friends, are experiencing tryhards, right? Because we're tryhards at the game, right? So the aggression based matchmaking goes, wow, you do this amount of damage, so we're going to put you in with other people that do this amount of damage, and you guys are aggressive, right? It's not skill based, but it's damage based. The other group that play more casually, more passive, they aren't nuking each other with trigger nades as much. So when they do get into a fight and one person only has one trigger nade on them, it doesn't seem as OP. So then this group is complaining to the devs saying, why do you need to nerf everything? And the other group is going, holy shit, this needs to be nerfed because that's all people are using. And then you have the people that are so PvE that they're like, wait, who the fuck uses trigger nades, right? So you have all these conflicting opinions on items because people aren't using them the same way. They're not experiencing them the same way. Whereas if there was no algorithm, and by the way, I'm not saying the algorithm is bad, okay? I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I actually do think it's kind of good that people get to play in lobbies that they are going to have a more enjoyable experience. They're going to get what they're looking for. I'm just saying that these are the problems. There's always pros and cons, right? But I'm saying if there was no algorithm, people would be experiencing the weapons on the same level because you would have people that do trigger nade spam and try hard with Venator 4s mixed in on a regular basis with the people that are just trying to PvE. So they would all experience it at the same level. They would all experience the trigger nade spam and be like, oh shit. Lastly, another way that the algorithm affects the game and its player base that isn't really talked about is the way people perceive themselves within the game. Some people are going to perceive themselves as a lot better than others because they play in very PvE lobbies where people aren't doing that much damage. So they're all put into lobbies with other people that don't do that much damage. So when they do break out into a fight, it's people who don't practice PvP as much, who aren't running all the meta stuff because they don't have to, because they don't get into engagements as much. And then when you win in those lobbies, you probably feel pretty good and you're like, damn, I'm pretty good. I win most gunfights because I'm better. Well, you are better than the PvE people. And it goes the other way, where maybe you feel like every game you go into is a coin toss, or that you kill people and just get third partied immediately. Well, you're in high DPS lobbies where everybody's running a Venator 4, a Toro 4, and every meta item in the fucking game. So you may feel you're not as good as you actually are. When I allegedly did some reverse boosting, I realized that. I thought I was kind of bad at the game. I was like, holy shit, I just get my head ripped off, or I will kill a team or two and then get third partied and die and not get out with loot, and it's annoying, it's hard, whatever. Started reverse boosting, right? Allegedly. And there's lobbies where people are so PvE it's not even fun. And then there's the lobbies where people are kind of PvE, kind of aggressive. And then there's the very mid-aggressive lobbies where obviously they're aggressive, but they're not doing a high DPS output, so the aggression-based matchmaking is not considering them hyper-aggressive. Then you get back into the lobbies that you're supposed to be in, and it's like, oh fuck, here's the kids all running Venator 4s, medium shields, and they're try-harding as fuck. And then the fights become fucking coin tosses again. So it does alter how people perceive themselves skill wise. Sometimes for the better. You know, people are out there thinking that they're cracked. And then there's also the other side of it where people are out there thinking they're shit. But if they just reverse boosted a little bit, they'd be like, oh, I'm kind of cracked. So there's all that. And I kind of mentioned that because I got a comment from a kid who was actually commenting on a different video. It was my Ark Survival Needs an Ark Raiders video. Go check that out. It'll make sense if you watch the video. But anyways, he was saying Ark Raiders did not create any type of suspense in their gameplay because he could just go in with a free loadout and clear house. He's cracked. He's level 75. He explained all of it, right? The problem is with that statement, one, I don't believe it, because if you are that cracked where you could just keep running through lobbies with a free loadout, you wouldn't bring in a free loadout. You'd at least bring in some sort of looting backpack so you can get out with all the loot. If you've ever cleared a lobby with a free loadout, you realize it kind of sucks because you can barely bring anything out. Not just a weight thing, but a slot thing, okay? When you clear a lobby with a free loadout, you quickly realize why the free loadout's bad. The other thing is, I'm not claiming to be goated, right? Like, my brother's a lot better than me. I play a lot with him. I know I'm not that good, but when you play in more aggressive lobbies, I say that with air quotes because it's not skill-based matching, it's aggression-based matching, you will quickly realize, one, utility is everything. In the better lobbies, people use mines, they use smokes, they use zip lines, they use barricades, they use all sorts of shit to get the upper hand. I'm telling you right now, barricades are the most slept on item in the fucking game. You get cracked out in a field, barricade. You get downed and get a quick revive off with a smoke off, now you have a wall in front of you. Barricades, OP. When you go into the free loadout, you don't have any of that. You don't have the heals, you don't have the utility, and you're fighting people with Venator 4s and medium shield. Free loadouts are annoying to deal with when they spawn in late and they can clean up crew sometimes, right? That's when they're annoying. I've experienced that and I've done that. When you spawn in, free loadout, and there's 17 minutes left, you hit the jackpot because now you can be the last third party on the squad at control tower or whatever map you're playing and get a free kit. That is true. That is annoying. But if you don't spawn in and get that fucking nice third party, it is really hard when you're in very aggressive lobbies to get a kill when you have a Stitcher 1 or a Pharaoh 1, and they're using a Venator 4, a Toro 4. They're placing barricades, they have gas mines, jolt mines, they are spamming trigger nades still, trailblazer grenades. It's different, right? It's a lot harder to get that kill when people play that way. When people play using meta, if you're in a PvE lobby and you go in with a free loadout and nobody's using meta stuff, guess what? It's going to be a little easier to get those kills. So that's why I wanted to talk about that last part. But that's it. If you somehow made it to the end of this fucking yap session, please like and subscribe.